instantaneous.
I'll wave.
So let me just introduce you all to Hey, you all. I am so glad you have tuned in to the channel. Welcome to the class. Today is it's spring. It's March 1. Spring hits this week, or in 2 weeks. When is spring? Is that the 21st? When is that? The 20th? 20th. Very good. So 3 weeks. March is a swing month in the garden. There's a lot to do to get ready. I've noticed that my gardens were extremely dry. We are seeing bark beetle ravage pine trees right now. I mean, it's terrible. There's some things you need to get going, and you can start planting, especially the cool season blooming things, evergreens, your trees. This is your time. This is the time when you start the process. And it's kind of unique. It's about a month earlier than other parts of the country, but it's because it's like this during the day. It's beautiful. Plants like it. You're seeing plants wake up all over the place. So, we all have favorites in our family, favorites in our companies, favorites in our neighborhood. So these are two of my favorites. So Eric Anderson, I think you're our longest employed person. He's one of our leaders here I couldn't run the company without him. We put him through high school, went to Embry-Riddle, did a corporate stint for a while, came back home, and came back to work for us, which I'm so honored to have. So he helps us run the company. And then my daughter, Mackenzie, is the general manager. She kind of does all the hiring, firing. If you're looking for a job, we are hiring right now. We're interviewing right now. Like, don't wait. It's a great place to work. So 10 years, 11 years? How long have you been working for us?
This will be my 10th season.
10th season, 10
March
years.
16.
That's awesome. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this is a place where employees put their roots down. That's what we say. This will be the best job you've ever had. We tell them that, and it is a great job. With that, we're going over the details of how to start your gardens. These two are going to teach a class, Mackenzie and Eric. So kind of give it up for them and make them feel good about it.
Thank you for coming in. Welcome. I'm so excited. Spring's here. I'm seeing all my regulars come back, my regular customers. Everything's blooming. So I get really excited this time of year because it's just go, go, go. It's better than winter. I'm sitting here and doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Eric kind of talk and speak, and I'm just going to come in when I need to come in. So it's on him today.
Okay. Thanks, Kenzie. So yeah, it feels like spring. I mean, March 1st, I'm in a t-shirt. It's a good day to be outside. It's a good time of year to start getting back in your gardens. Just take a look at what needs to be done, what you want to do this year. There's a lot of fun stuff. It's a great time of year to be a gardener. So a little bit about this class today. We're going to start off kind of going over the spring to-do list. So this will be the stuff that if you haven't done yet, go ahead and do it now. Just stuff to keep in mind. And then after that, we'll start talking about some of the products up here that'll help you with your gardens this spring. And then after that, we get to go over all these awesome plants. And we got a lot of really cool stuff in. So I'm excited to talk about it. Just as a note, this is an awesome full class, biggest class I've taught. So with that in mind, just try and keep your questions till the end of class. If we're answering all the questions, we'll be up here for a couple hours.
For 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to do that.
And it's just an hour-long class. So we'll leave some time towards the end, 10, 15 minutes to go over questions and answers.
Yep.
So, okay.
All right, let's begin.
Awesome. So, kind of first of all, going back to that spring to-do list, if you haven't started to prune yet, or if you haven't finished up your pruning, go ahead and finish that now. We always say kind of late February to early March. That's the sweet spot for pruning up here in the mountains of Arizona. So that's going to be your trees, fruit trees, your shrubs like roses. This little guy right here, you can see we've already gone through, cut him back, done all the pruning for him. So he's ready to go. You can see it's already starting to leaf out for the spring. So that's exciting. So roses, grasses. We get a lot of questions about grasses, specifically pampas grass, but there's what, 10 different varieties of grass that we sell. I mean, there's all sorts of grasses. If you haven't pruned them back yet, go ahead and prune them back. They should look something like this, just a couple inches above the ground. For those of you who have pampas grass, you can check out in our parking lot. We have some for the landscaping. 2 of those have already been pruned, so you can see what a big, fully established pampas grass looks like when it's pruned. And 2 of them we haven't pruned quite yet. We need to get on that, but it's kind of a good side-by-side comparison of what it looks like versus what you want it to look like this time of year as they're starting to leaf out and get ready for the springtime.
You can be harsh. You don't have to be delicate. You want to cut things off the knees and let them grow back nice and full for you. You don't want to see that brown. You don't need to see it. You want nice and green. And that goes with even your shrubs and stuff, butterfly bushes, anything. You can give a pretty harsh cut. If it's established, you can go up to half the plant, if not a little bit more. Okay, things here need a refresh to then do better for you. All right, so yeah.
Yes. As a side note, going off pruning, couple things you don't want to prune quite yet, or you don't want to prune right now. Forsythia, this guy here, if you prune him back, you're just doing a little bit more harm than good. Same with lilacs, like this guy right here. These guys have already started
show 'em
to,
later.
yeah, they've already started to bud out. They're you really don't need to prune it. It's ready to go. Start producing for the springtime.
You cut them when their blooms are done. So anything you're spring blooming, wait till the buds are done blooming, and then you cut it back at that point.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
Make it simple.
pruning.
We could have a whole class on pruning, but
Yeah.
that's the
And
basics.
as a matter of fact, we do have a full class on pruning.
Oh,
You can find
okay.
it on the YouTube channel. There's all sorts of goodies on our YouTube channel. So if you have questions about specific stuff, a lot of times you can find it just Googling Waters Garden Center, and we have a ton of good information out there on the web.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah,
No
30
more.
years of computer information.
Yep.
So,
Cool.
okay. So after pruning, kind of the next real big thing you want to do this time of year is fertilize. Couple different types of fertilizers. We make it easy for you. We have 2 different fertilizers. This right here, the all-purpose 744. It's both of these are slow release granulars. This stuff, you can put this on your evergreen. You can put it on the ponderosa pine tree in your backyard that's been there for 100 years.
Mhm.
You can do it on shrubs, flowers, or
Anything and everything.
yeah, anything that
Doesn't
grows.
matter.
You can do it on your lawns. This is really, really good stuff. Slow release, so it takes about 3 months to break down. If you go ahead and apply some now, it'll kind of carry those plants through, feed them all the way through the spring as they're starting to wake up. And when I wake up, I'm hungry. If you skip breakfast, that's the most important meal of the day. Kind of the same thing with plants. You know, they're coming out of their dormant stage. They're getting ready to start producing, but they need food to produce. So fertilizer is really, really important this time of year. So that's the all-purpose. We also have the fruit and veggie food. So this will cover, it's just as easy to use as this, same pelletized granular. This is what you want to use for your fruit
Juicy.
trees,
There.
your veggie gardens, stuff like that. Nice thing, it kind of what sets the fruit and veggie fertilizer apart from the all-purpose is this has some added calcium. The calcium is that's what you need to build strong fruit, big blooms. It's extremely important, especially this time of year, to kind of get a head start in the garden.
Yeah, if you notice kind of on your tomatoes or on your fruit trees, you get cracking or they're kind of small, they're not as full. That's a calcium deficiency usually because we don't have anything in our soil. There's nothing there. So you got to help it along here. You can't just do it like Oregon and California. You just chuck it in, it does great. You got to kind of help things here in our dry climate. So that calcium will help it be bigger, not crack. It'll be a nice big fruit for you. This just kind of helps that long term as it forms. Okay. And then just wanted to say with the all-purpose, this year in particular with the dryness that we've had had no moisture. It may have tempted us a little bit. We've had no moisture. So your natives are going to take a really hard blow this year, things that are naturally okay on their own. Probably going to need a little bit of help this year. A lot of people I think are going to lose their big trees and stuff if they haven't taken care of them just because they're stressed and the borers are out like crazy, the scale. This will help them kind of wake up a little nicer, a little better, and get through this dryness that we've had. So just this, I know people research, they say, don't do your natives, don't fertilize them. That's harmful. Our stuff is made for here. You're safe to use it for here on anything. Okay, so just really want to emphasize that for this year.
Yeah. And going off what Kenzie was saying, plants, they have an immune system. If they aren't happy and healthy, it makes it a lot easier for insects,
Yeah.
fungal. You'll notice more issues if you don't have a healthy plant to begin with. That's when other things come in and they'll kind of take over that plant. So if you start out with a healthy plant in the spring, it does numbers throughout the rest of the year or the growing season.
Yep.
So, okay. So, kind of going over the fertilizer. Another thing on the spring to-do list, a lot of times folks, and it's something that we recommend as well, is in the fall, winter, you kind of want to mulch around the top of your trees, your shrubs, stuff like that. As plants are starting to wake up, you kind of want to pull that mulch back from around the trunk. So like this guy here, if I mulched it, if this was in the ground and I mulched it last winter, I just want to go through, kind of pull some of that mulch around just
show you.
off the back of that trunk.
We can do this.
Okay.
This is the light tree. You can do it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I could just.
Oh, that'll work.
We'll just show that way you can see it. So you see how it's got that kind of mulch right here, kind of on it or anything. But this is what we call the crown. This is the base of that tree. He's saying you want to pull it away if you've got a lot of bark or rocks there.
Mhm.
Usually you shouldn't have a problem with that, but just pull stuff away so it doesn't heat up and kind of hurt that crown, because that crown is what keeps your tree alive, kind of right here. So you pull that stuff away right there.
Yep.
Okay. I know it's hard to see up here.
No, that was a good example. So now, another important thing to do this spring, for if you have lawns especially, or even just spreading around in your soil, is humic acid. For anyone who was at the soil class about a month ago, I covered this extensively. But basically what humic acid is, it's the byproduct of compost. When you start your compost bins, what you're trying to get is humic acid, essentially. This is pelletized, super easy to use, a lot less stinky than a compost bin in your backyard. So this stuff, basically, we call it soil activator, another name for it. It's not necessarily a fertilizer, but it helps waken up the soil. It opens it up for more nutrients, more worms, all the good stuff, the microorganisms that you want in your soil, this promotes. You'll get a healthier lawn. If you spread a little bit of this over top your lawn this time of year, it's terrific. You can do the same. You can sprinkle it around the top of your shrubs, trees, anything. It's all it does is just help build the nutrients back up into that soil, which, as Kenzie said, we're Arizona. We don't have a lot of nutrients in our soil. So the more you can do, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, is anyone in new developments or anything like that, new homes or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Because so what they did is they took all your nice soil, took it away from you, built up everything, and then didn't give it back. So now you're just on that subsoil. It's just clay, rock. They took all the nice stuff. So you kind of have to build it back in. And as you build it up over time, it does a lot better for you. Even people who've been in like really old things that have just been established,
Mm-hmm.
everything's taking those nutrients. You kind of just need to refill it occasionally. So this just feeds that soil to promote healthy things to come in and open up, make that soil awake, kind of bring it to life. So it's not fertilizer. It just promotes health and makes your soil alive. Okay, that's the difference in these.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So next we'll move on to manure.
Okay.
So kind of when I was mentioning lawns, another really good thing to do this time of year is add some barnyard manure. Our stuff is great. It doesn't stink. It doesn't smell. I feel comfortable grabbing it, and I don't have to shower or wear a hazmat suit. It's really, really good stuff.
Deodorized.
Yes, deodorized, and it's really kind of already started to break down for you.
Yeah.
So it's ready for your gardens. This is terrific for raised beds. If you're doing veggies, tomatoes, anything like that, raised beds, container gardens. It's also really, really good for lawns. Just sprinkle a thin layer over top, water it in. Your lawn, you should really, really notice a difference within, 2 weeks, a month?
Yeah,
I mean,
really fast long.
It's extremely important. Just kind of helps add some of those nutrients back into the soil that we don't have all that many of here.
Yeah, this stuff, it's been cooked for longer. So like more than normal compost, we have it cooked for a few months longer to help promote more breakdown, more nitrogen, stuff like that. So that's why it smells a little bit less. Some people who have good smell, it still has a sense to it. It's still dirt, okay? It still has a little odor, but it's not as bad as your regular compost because it's been cooked more. Because of that, you cannot just plant straight into it. It is still a hot mix. So if you plant something straight into this, it will burn the roots and things will die. So the reason you want to mix it with some other kind of soil, top dressing stuff, and then let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks if you can, which is why you want to do it now. So you're trying to get your soil ready for your summer veggies. You're waiting for that. You have an empty bed, done straw or something like that. Take the straw off, start doing this, let it sit. Okay, once it sits for that amount of time, you're good to plant in it. It's promoted all it's going to do, and you're ready to go. Just do not plant straight into this mix. Okay?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Kenzie. So awesome. That's a good start with all that. Now we'll go a little bit into pest control because it's starting to become pertinent as we're waking up. The plants are waking up. So are all the bugs, all the stuff that's going to come eat all your pretty new buds. And we don't want that. You guys don't want that. So a couple things you can do, a couple different products to kind of get a head start. And then if you do happen to notice some products that'll take care and rectify any bug issues. So
yeah, the dryness is going to bring the bugs. The winter did not take them out. I have had to fight aphids kind of year round right now. And then the borers I've noticed on those pinions and those pine ponderosas are going to be intense this year. I've already noticed damage and it's real early. So just be watchful of that stuff. If you see real big sapping on your pines or something, big goops or something, little black spots at the end of your pine needles, if you notice little dots, that's the scale. Borers, you don't really see them. They just create a yellow, weird look in your tree. So just be careful of that stuff, but we're going to show you how to take care of it so you can just not even have to worry about it. But I just want to throw that out there, okay?
Yes. So now the tree and shrub drench, this is the product we're referencing. If you're familiar with us or if you've attended more classes, you've probably seen this before because we talk about it a lot. It's really, really good stuff. Any evergreen, pine trees, stuff like that, if they get a borer or something inside, this works as a systemic. So how you use this is you water it in, you mix it up with some water it in around the base of that tree, shrub, whatever it may be. The tree or plant will absorb it through the roots, takes it up through the trunk. Basically, you're coating the tree from the inside. So any borers, anything that's trying to get through that bark and into the tree, this will stop it dead in its tracks. This is really, really good stuff to use. It's also very easy to use. You aren't going to be out there spraying, trying to get up to the top of your trees. Let the tree do it for you because the tree's going to bring it up through the trunk. It'll push it out through the foliage. Need a picture of this? Tree and shrub drench. So.
You can pour it right on the base of your tree. So I know it's counterintuitive. Usually you go at the end of your tree line or something like that. Right at the trunk, as close to it as you can get, if not right on it. Okay, because it goes up through that cambium layer up through your tree. Okay, and to use it, it's an ounce per inch of tree trunk diameter.
Circumference.
Okay, you repeat that. Do it better.
Sorry. So basically, the application rate for this, it's 1 ounce per inch of trunk circumference. So if you know the diameter, it's pretty simple math. If I know a tree is
yeah.
You can make it real complicated. Math is not my strong suit. I don't try to make it complicated. So for example, let's say you have a tree, the trunk is about 10-inch diameter. All you have to do, multiply that by pi. Pi is 3.14. To make it easy, I just times it by 3. So if it's a 10-inch trunk, I'd want to use about 30 ounces of this because that'll be roughly 30 ounces of circumference around the trunk. So
perfect.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. Okay.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're already talking.
So good question.
She asked if you're doing this more than once, more than one treatment.
Yes. So highly recommend doing it now. One application is pretty much good for a year.
Yep.
So if you get it down now, it'll carry that tree all the way up until this time next year. An annual application is really the best way to use this.
And it gets all the new growth. Some of these things, the drenches do not get new growth. It just protects the old growth. and your new growth is the one that's most susceptible to bugs. So that's why we like this one, particularly this brand, because it will get that new growth as it comes out in the spring. Okay.
Okay. Tree and shrub drench.
Yeah.
Drench.
Drench.
Yes.
Points to me. I can spell.
Okay.
It's really iffy sometimes.
Yeah. So going into another product, horticultural oil.
Yeah.
If you aren't familiar with this, basically this is a really, really good preventative. You'll want to use it on fruit trees. Anything that's going to be starting to.
Okay, small bottle, but I'll
Yeah.
try my best.
So
I'll get to the online class. I got you guys.
So, yes, it's called horticultural oil. We also call it dormant oil because when the plants are dormant, that's kind of when you want to spray it. Aphids, they'll leave little eggs, scale, and they'll leave that, say, last November around Thanksgiving when they start to die off. They'll leave their eggs so they can come back on your plants this time of year when we start to warm up. You spray this, it's an oil, and it actually coats, it kind of suffocates those eggs, suffocates any of the insects that are on your plant that are starting to wake up and they're hungry to eat whatever they're on.
Yeah.
So this is really good to go ahead and cover it now.
It's a reset button.
Yes.
So if you've been fighting things, or it's not a preventative as so much for the things that come in, that fly in, but it's a reset from your winter bugs that have laid and are there all winter. Okay. Yeah, you spray it on. Yeah,
Yes.
because it's a casing. Huh? I don't really like cactus to be sprayed with an oil because they kind of breathe through their petals or things like that. So I would do more of a drench for your cactus.
Mhm.
Yeah. You cannot use this in the heat, so that's why you're doing it now in March.
Yes.
So as soon as we get, I think this is 70, you can't use it. It'll just burn everything for this particular product. Okay, so that's why you want to do it now. It's just it's a big giant reset button.
Mm-hmm. So awesome. So that's that.
I'm not going to spell it because it's long. Okay.
Yes.
You can come up after class.
Now, this is a little bit early, but when you start to notice bugs, hopefully you won't, but we're Arizona.
Thrip.
Yes.
You see thrip.
You're going to start to see some little critters, whether it's aphids, thrip, scale. The bugs are starting to wake up just as the plants. Sayonara, this is really, really good insecticide. Easiest one that we sell to use. All you have to do, screw it right onto the end of your hose right here. It's just got one setting. All you do is open this. It automatically mixes for you. So as long as you have decent water pressure, this will spray up to the top of your trees. It's a really, really good coating.
Yep.
And it'll take care of just about any sort of insect issue that you guys could possibly have.
Yeah, it's a synthetic of chrysanthemums. So we like to start with safe products first. We're not going to go into those harsh killers that kill you and everything else. We don't do that. We want you to be as proactive as possible while doing less harm to yourself. And so that's why we really like this product. This is great for when your leaves start coming out and you see them start curling. They get that weird look and they never come out of it. That is the thrip. Thrip is like the first thing to decimate trees here when they start leafing out. So your red buds, your crab apples, some of your fruit trees, you see curling, that's an insect, it's not a bacterial or fungal. You want to spray, and this is safe for your fruit trees, things like that. And it's just really easy to use. You just attach it to a hose. You don't have to do math, which I love.
Yes.
So that's why this is really nice.
So this is also.
Huh? She's asked if you can use it on trees or just on trees or anything. Anything. Yep, you can use it on anything.
Yep. So this is.
It's safe for pets once it's dry. Anything, we sell a lot of things that are really safe for pets. Just keep them out of it till it's dry. It takes 5 to 10 minutes and you're good to go. Okay.
Yep. So this is also what Kenzie was saying about thrip. Every spring when the roses start to come out, we always find thrip on roses.
Yeah.
We'll find it in the buds. When you get the buds that they look like they're halfway there. They're ready to come out, but they just aren't opening and they're staying like that for a little while. 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, it's thrip. Sayonara is a great product to use against that.
Yep.
So, okay, that kind of goes over the pest or the insect control. As we have more classes, as we start to warm up, we'll dive a little bit deeper into these, but at least now you have a general idea of some of the things you can use. And like we said, the tree and shrub drench and the horticultural oil, now is the time. This is a great time of year to go ahead and get it down before those plants really wake up with all the bugs on them. So one quick thing before we move on, I do want to go over weed control. This is our,
I can hold it up.
yes. So this is what we call pre-emergent, or a weed and grass stopper. What this is, it's a weed control. It won't kill anything that's already germinated, but it prevents new stuff from germinating, new seeds. For those of you who have lawns, you can put this on. It's not going to kill the lawn. It's not going to harm the grass that you have, but it will prevent new plants, new weeds from coming up through that lawn. I have a gravel driveway. I use this on my gravel driveway. Put some down this time of year. I'll put another application down kind of right before monsoon season, because that's
July. Usually July.
Yeah, those are the 2 times a year that we get all the weeds poking up through, because we're usually so dry otherwise. So this does wonders. Preventative. It's ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's a lot easier putting this on than in 2 months going out and pulling up all the weeds that came up.
Yeah,
So,
even spread. You don't need to worry about cupfuls, handfuls. Even spread wherever you're going to put it, water it in. And then it is not a cure-all, be-all kind of thing. If you have been struggling with weeds, if you consistently use this, it will help lessen that over time. But in one season, it's not going to just get rid of all the weeds. Okay, some people have that expectation, but it definitely lessens if you keep up on it.
Mhm.
You're not fighting weeds as much. I can't get on my knees anymore. I know I maybe look young, but I can't do that. So I throw this down to help with that process. Okay.
yes. Awesome. Okay. So that is kind of the majority of the products that I wanted to go over. We already went over the spring to-do list, the stuff that you want to be looking out for in your gardens this time of year.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
let me mention this. So with that, we will have a handout version of the spring to-do list. Okay, so that if you want that, we will have a Growing Better Peonies, just to throw it out there, and then the top 7 blooming spring plants is another handout. So if you want those handouts, please give me your name and your email. This is separate from the garden membership. You will not, if you're a garden member, you still have to sign up here to get those handouts, because it's just for you all. Okay, online you should be getting it posted to you soon. But I'll pass this around, just make sure it kind of gets to everyone. I'm going to start here because it's bigger, and then we'll circle around, okay? Sometimes it struggles to get back up that way.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right.
That's done.
Awesome. Now we get to start talking about some of the pretty color. It's an exciting time of year, as I said earlier. Everything's waking up. Plants are coming alive. Your garden, you can have flowers. You can have color in your garden now.
Yeah, you can plant now. Even
yes.
if it gets cold, like next week, I think we get cold again, you can still plant. We do not freeze past a foot here. So once you get them in the ground and protected, they'll do fine. Anything that we're selling right now will be okay and do great for you. You want to plant it now, so that way in the summer, you're not fighting the summer heat, trying to put a new plant in and also keep it alive with its roots and stuff. Root it out now, so in the summer, it's a lot happier. Okay, that's why now's a great time.
Yeah. The most stressful time of the year for the majority of plants here in Arizona is summer. June, July. If we have a lack of monsoons like last season, it's stressful for those plants. That hot western sun, it can take a lot out. So the sooner that you get a plant in the ground, the more chance it has to root out, to get established before we really get into that hard time of year for those.
Yep. And less water. I mean, I don't know about my water bill, but it's crazy high sometimes. So the less you can water things in the summer, the better.
Yes.
What are we
Awesome.
starting with?
So we're going to start small. We'll start off with annuals.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who don't know,
I like this one.
okay, yeah, this is a great example. So kind of as a general rule, the majority of all annuals are going to be up here in this upper greenhouse.
Yep.
During peak season, this is our annual house. So this is where you'll find the pansies, violas, snapdragons, all the stuff that you put in this time of year. And then the lower greenhouse is going to be perennials. So those are the ones that you plant. They'll live all year long and then die back in the winter, and they'll pop right back up in the springtime. So going over annuals, you can see this is a beautiful color bowl. We've got quite a few of them on one of the back tables over here. This is great. You have some color to your porch. It's super easy. It's just a good way to kind of add some spice to your yard or your garden.
Yeah.
Get some good color in.
Yeah, this stuff loves the cold. So when we keep still getting those freezes, these things will go right through it. They'll do just fine.
Mhm.
We are bringing in quite the summer stuff yet. People have been asking about geraniums, things like that. It's a little early, but if you plant these, you'll get nice, good growth. Basically, these die out in June when that summer heat comes. They get leggy, they get gross. They may still be alive, but they get gross. You rip them out, and but you can throw your summer stuff in starting like April or so. But this will go for a while, and they do great. Okay, they love the cold.
Yes. So, and you can see this guy right here in the middle. I want to briefly talk about snapdragons because they are incredible flowers. This is a really pretty example, and you can see he's just starting to bloom out. Got plenty of buds and got a couple flowers that are already coming out. Nice thing about snapdragons, very, very few critters go after the snapdragons.
Yeah,
If you're looking for something resistant against the javelina, deer, this is a real good option, real good color.
Yep, and this almost goes year round. Almost. I think that true summer kind of takes a break, but this goes through anything. It's fabulous. It will also, we call it a biannual, so it'll go a couple years and then die out, but it really likes to come back from seed and stuff as well. So it will kind of come back, not invasively, but kind of pop up in your yard like a nice little bush. So it's just a fabulous plant. Comes in so many colors. Okay.
Yep. Awesome.
Snapdragon.
Okay. So that's kind of a brief introduction or overview of the annuals. We've got pansies, violas. We have the mammoth pansies, the real big ones. More color bowls. Quite a few options. Now is a great time of year to go ahead and get those started.
Yeah, we just brought in a new color. It's like a raspberry cool wave they came out with. So that's over there. It's a really nice, vibrant color. It's not too dark. I don't know. Check it out. It's new stuff excites me. I don't know.
Absolutely. As I said, kind of a brief overview of the annuals. Now we'll go into perennials. So, for example, this dianthus. These are columbine.
Do whatever.
Yeah.
Talk about.
Okay. We'll go over both, of course, but these are awesome plants. Beautiful color. You plant it in the ground now. It'll last up until we start to get real warm.
No, these are year round. I mean, these will
year-round? I
handle
stand
the cold
corrected,
and
sorry.
the heat. They might take a break in true winter, but these will go through the heat and the cool.
Yes. And then, next year they'll pop right back up.
Yep.
So
Carnations, dianthus. Carnations are another name that people really know this by, and all that.
So, and you'll find a real good selection of these down in the lower greenhouse.
Gotta keep our eye on that.
Too. The flowers on this are incredible. We've got I think we've got 2 different colors of this. 3 different colors, even better.
Oh. Wait, did you go over this?
Oh, briefly. So, okay, this is a columbine.
These are just so great. I gotta talk about them.
Yeah, the flowers are just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, we only get them in early spring. It's the only time we can get them. Bloom, kind of one of the first things to bloom. They come in blue, red, and like a yellow. They're gorgeous. They are kind of more afternoon shade, so they cannot handle full sun. So get the morning sun, northern exposure, or the late evening. They can handle and do fabulous in. But yeah, I don't know if anyone think Colorado these grow.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll great in, so they can handle the cold. It's just that heat a little bit. But yeah, just gorgeous. But only time of year we can get these.
So, and you plant that, it'll come back next year.
Yep.
And the year after. They are terrific. It's kind of an easy one and done.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's see. What do we want to go over now? I'm going to go over some of the our smaller flowering plants. For those, is anyone in here not familiar with peonies? Okay. So peonies, these are incredible plants. When we get these in, we got these in, what, 2 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. When we get them in, it looks like just a pot with dirt. There's nothing here. And then you'll start to notice these little tiny shoots poking up, and they grow incredibly fast. Yeah, this is
full grown bush. in about another month or so.
Yes.
They grow super fast.
So, and full grown for this size or this specific variety right here is going to be about 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide. Gorgeous, gorgeous flowers that'll last you pretty much up until or kind of into summer.
Yeah.
So.
Yep,
so-
these things, they can handle full sun. Just have some shaded, cover the roots a little bit with some mulch. They can grow in partial sun, just not full shade, because then you struggle getting blooms. The thing with these guys is they are a bulb as well, so they can hold a lot of moisture, so they don't need a ton. And then the thing with the blooms, sometimes I like to just destroy this myth. They get when they start budding, they get that sap on it, the stickiness, that you start seeing ants and things and all that, and then people think the ants are killing the blooms. The ants are feeding off the sugars that the thrip and create. So your plant's just showing stress. So if you spray it with that insecticide, Sayonara,
Yes.
it gets rid of that thrip, so the blooms can then open, and you won't fight that ant problem. So the ants actually kind of help get the sugars off, so that way it can also open, because the sugars sometimes stop that because they're like, I'm stuck. So ants aren't the problem. You got insects. Ants kind of help get that sugar off so they can open. So I just want to throw that out there, because that every year it happens. You're just going to get it with peonies, but once those blooms, I mean, you can't beat the blooms. That's why they're gorgeous. So
Yes.
yeah, we get tons of colors, tons of variety. It is a perennial, so it dies right back to the ground. Oops, sorry. As a bulb, so it just sits there underground in winter, pops up really fast once we get warm, and it will be full grown by in like a month and a half maybe.
Yes. Yeah, and we've got a couple different colors of these. They're all down in the lower greenhouse. Check them out. They are truly incredible plants.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's a peony. Now I want to talk a little bit about heath. If you've been in recently, you've probably seen these. It's a great plant for this time of year here in Prescott. It's when we're starting to get them in. They are terrific for pollinators. When I grabbed this yesterday to bring up here, setting up for the class, I felt bad grabbing it because of all the bees that were hanging out around it. They went on to the other heath that we have down there. But these are awesome. They bring in the bees, hummingbirds, all the pollinators that you want in your garden. This is a really, really good plant to attract them.
Yep, full sun, or partial. It does take quite a bit of water because it's such a vibrant, what's the word? Vibrant bloomer.
Yes.
They like a lot of water just because they're doing so much to start. So they need a little bit of help. But yeah, they're just super great. First thing to bloom. They attract your pollinators to then stick around once your other things start blooming. So a lot of people struggle with bees to start. That's why we bring this in so early. It's the only time of year we get it. And it is also very animal resistant. Because it's harsher, it's got harsh needles and stuff. I mean, not for us, but for animals. They don't eat it. It's winter heath, Mediterranean heath, winter heath. Comes in purple or white, stuff like that. Heath, Heath.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have grabbed the
Gophers and javelina. Okay. There's nothing truly gopher resistant. It is kind of up there, but because they go for roots all taste the same pretty much. So can't say for sure. Unfortunately.
Yes.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that was the heath. Like Kenzie said, we have this in white and pink, both of which are awesome plants for your garden. So great time of year to get these in the ground, kind of get a head start. You can absolutely do container pots with these. I would recommend doing a little bit, well, yeah, definitely go larger than this plastic pot here. When this heath is full size, they get, I believe, 3x3. Yeah, about 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide. So just get a pot that's large enough to kind of support that. Yes, exactly. So, okay. After that, and now most of these plants, the heath, the peonies, azaleas, these are all going to be found in the lower greenhouse if you're kind of wondering where you can see more of them in the garden center. So here, I'll get up close. Azalea, this is a really, really neat plant.
Yes. I'm going to bring this one up too.
Yes. And its cousin, the rhododendron. So both of these are awesome. The azalea is in the rhododendron family. Both of these varieties here are evergreen, so they keep their foliage year-round. We do have one variety, my personal favorite, color of azalea. It's called the Gibraltar. It's gorgeous, gorgeous orange flowers.
Oh, yeah.
That one is semi-evergreen.
Yeah.
It doesn't have foliage on it right now, but as soon as it starts to wake up, you just get these gorgeous, beautiful orange flowers, and they're big.
Yeah.
This one here is going to be kind of a deep purple. Great spring bloomers. You can see both of these already have a lot of buds starting. Within 2 weeks, you'll probably notice you'll start to get some color. Within a month, they're going to be in full bloom. They are beautiful, beautiful additions to a garden.
Yep.
These are, the azalea is typically a little bit smaller than the rhododendron. This variety here, I believe it gets around 3 feet tall, 4 feet, yeah, 3 to 4 feet, kind of right in that window. Rhododendrons, as I said, typically a little bit larger. I think this variety here is 4 to 6 feet tall and wide.
Let's see if you're accurate. 6 by 6.
6 by 6, yes. So again, just awesome plants. Both of these prefer a little bit of afternoon shade. The morning sun, they love. That'll help build those blooms. Afternoon sun it's still brutal here, even in the spring for a lot of plants. So if you have kind of an east-facing side of the house, something like that, these are terrific plants to put in.
Yep, 10 to 2. It's a summer heat. I mean, you'll notice we don't cover our stuff quite yet because it's not brutal heat. It's not like baking you.
Mhm.
But in that summer, from 10 to 2, that's when the stuff needs a little bit of coverage, a little bit of shade, stuff like that. And then the rhodie, I mean, I'm sure people know this, but it is very toxic. So nothing eats it. Nothing goes after it. If you have a dog that chews, don't put it in your yard where they can get to it. But super big blooms, beautiful, but nothing touches it. Nothing goes after it. Haven't even noticed bugs that much go for it. So that's why that one's nice. They don't go after this one either, but it doesn't have that toxic effect. So this year's been such a weird year with everything eating everything. There's nothing safe. They don't read the list and say, I can't eat that, unfortunately. So they're just kind of just protect yourself. But again, it's not something they want to touch in particular. Okay.
Yes. And we've got a couple different colors of each of these varieties. Check them out. As I said, lower greenhouse. They're just really, really neat plants, especially this time of year. You get that color that you haven't had since last year, since last fall. So now we'll kind of move into some of the shrubs, some of the plants that we have outdoors.
And roses.
Yes. So
I guess we can bring this.
Forsythia. This is one of the earliest plants that starts to bloom. Early spring, it comes alive, bright yellow.
Sure,
Yes.
we can see it. It sits in your face. It's happiness in a bucket.
So now I know right now we have 2 different varieties. This is the larger variety. This guy will get about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. The other variety stays a little bit smaller. That's kind of 3 by 3. But early spring bloomers, and then after it's done blooming in the spring, it's just really nice. Nice shrub. You have great green foliage.
Yep. Yeah, this will bloom for like another month or so. And then the ones around town actually haven't started yet. This just kind of wanted to wake up early here. So they'll bloom soon. And then when these bloom out, if you also know Spanish broom, that's like your summer yellow bloomer. It just fills up with yellow and then goes back to its broom style. But if you kind of plant them kind of around each other, you'll have yellow almost the entire year. It's really nice to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll notice these around town, then you'll go, oh, right, I remember those because I love them every year because it's just a big yellow bush. That's just a good pop color.
Yeah. Yeah. If you see a bright yellow shrub this time of year, it's almost definitely a forsythia. Yeah. Great plants. Now, moving on to lilacs. We get a huge variety of these. We tend to have a real good selection all spring, summer.
Spring.
Yeah. Well, spring.
Till May.
Yes.
Then we sell out.
As I said, a couple different varieties. This is my personal favorite. It's called the Bloomerang Dark Purple. The name Bloomerang, yeah.
We won't be able to see it, but you can come up after. But.
Yes. So as the name Bloomerang implies, you keep getting blooms. This guy here, it'll bloom springtime. It'll kind of bloom into the summer. And a lot of times we'll see these in the fall, kind of August, September. They still have flowers on them. They are terrific plants. Just to add that color, they are awesome for pollinators. Really, really good. And you can see, if you look close after class, you can come up or check out the ones we have out in the yard. They are just starting to leaf out, or they're starting to leaf out, just starting to bud and bloom. So
Yeah, this one, I like this one because if you notice some of your traditional lilacs, they're really thick. They got that thick stem to them. They make a big bloom, but it's such a short-lived kind of bloom. They're gorgeous, don't get me wrong. But I like this one because it's just a little bit thinner looking. It doesn't get those thick stems. And then those blooms are a little bit smaller, but they're more prolific around the plant, and you still get that smell. It's not like we compromise smell for blooming twice. It kind of gives you that whole round package, and it is a little bit smaller than your big traditional lilacs. You can't beat those bushes, but that's why we like this one, brought it in. It's our top seller, and we pushed it a lot because of all those reasons. Okay.
yes. And size-wise, this guy here stays 4x4, 5x5. It's one of the more compact varieties. If you need if you want a real big lilac, we have some that get 12 feet tall. They're
Ooh.
also awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, there's
I didn't know it got that
a
big.
great selection, great variety in lilacs. They tend to do really well up here in Prescott in the mountains.
Yep.
So now, before I move on to any other plants, since we have these that are starting to bud and bloom, I want to go over when we do get cold snaps, how do we keep the blooms on, keep them happy?
Yeah.
So, yes, this here is frost cloth. If you come in, if we have a real cold night, you come in first thing in the morning, you'll see this on a lot of our beds because we're trying to protect these blooms. If we get, and when I say a cold or a hard freeze, that's 27 degrees. 32, plants, they feel it, they chill out, but 27, that's really the hard freeze when you want to save the blooms. Frost cloth is really the best bet. It's a thin, breathable layer. It just adds that extra insulation to keep the buds on.
Do not use plastic. Don't use
Yes.
buckets unless you're doing this inside a bucket. That stuff just all makes it go colder, and you're just not helping your plant at all. It creates more of a cold effect. This stuff, breathable, doesn't trap the cold, lets some sun in, stuff like that. So that's why this is really nice. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fruit trees, any fruit trees that you can get, you can
Yes.
reach. You want to protect that. So you always get a late freeze. I don't care how warm it is. We'll get one last freeze that takes all the new stuff out. This just helps protect that a little bit more.
Yeah. Great use case for this. See this
I'll
peach
pull it out.
tree?
It's too beautiful not to pull out.
Yes. Yeah, these are absolutely gorgeous. We've got a great selection right now of the fruit trees, and most of them are starting to bloom.
I mean, come on, look at that.
Yes. So, and this is a true dwarf. These guys, they are awesome for containers, smaller areas. Which
It's a
variety?
peach.
Yes,
I don't know.
peach.
Garden
Okay.
gold.
Yes.
It's that yellow center peach.
Yeah, we've got, as I said, a couple different varieties of these dwarfs, but they are just awesome little guys. A lot of times you'll find
Containers.
really, really good fruit on them.
Well, not that big.
Yeah. So
It's a golden miniature peach. Golden. Yeah, it's a peach. We get nectarine and peach in dwarf.
yeah, and you'll find those just on the other side of this wall right out here. They're kind of hard to miss because they all look like this.
Great for containers. Those people living in Granville, you have smaller yards. These are fabulous for that. You can kind of hide it a little bit, HOA, but these are just great with nice sized fruit. If you don't want to go up on a ladder, start picking things and all that. And these are all self-pollinating. You don't need another one. They'll do their own thing and all of that. They'll have fruit here probably, I want to say more like May or so. As soon as your blooms are done, the fruit, but they're the first things to give you fruit in the season.
So, and you can see over here this other beautiful pink tree. This is a Fantasia nectarine. As we said, most of the fruit trees, they're really starting to wake up. This is another great example.
Pull it out.
Okay.
Come on.
Here.
We got some time. It's fine. So your
There we go.
apricots should already be in full bloom. Plums are probably in bloom right now. And then your nectarines and peaches are starting. They're kind of the next thing to go in. Cherries are after that. And then it tends to be your apples, your pears. Those might be blooming. But your apples and What am I missing? Pears, cherries. Cherries they're kind of after this, and then your apples are last. So you'll notice kind of progression of blooming. Yeah,
Okay.
these came. We might be a little early here because these came from a little bit warmer climate, so they're blooming a little bit earlier, and we have a very warm wall they're up against. But your stuff will be popping soon.
Yes. And if we do happen to get another real hard freeze or hopefully we get some snow this year. I'm still got my fingers
We'll
crossed.
see.
I know it's wishful thinking, but frost cloth is a great example to use for a tree like this or that other little guy if and when we do get a hard snap.
So let's do roses really quick.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about that weeping beautiful thing, and then we'll answer questions, okay? And then we can mention anything else. If you guys feel up to it, we'll go into that.
So, roses. This past week, we got 2 new varieties of roses, or new for us this season.
Not
So-
new. It's just the first
Yeah,
crop in.
Yeah, the first truckload or first shipments.
Yep.
Yeah. So let me grab this other one.
You could touch this one. We'll go over why.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't
So-
touch this one.
Yes, this guy has pretty nasty thorns. That one is nice and easy. These are climbing roses. These do terrific over trellises, ramadas. If you want something kind of going up a wall in your house or a retaining wall, stuff like that, that's a great time or great opportunity to use roses, or at least these climbing roses. The Lady Banks here, if anyone's been down to Tucson, seen the massive, the largest rose bush in the world, or rose tree in the world, that is a Lady Banks.
The tombstone rose.
Yeah,
Yep.
tombstone rose.
Big blooms.
Yes.
This one's a yellow. This one's a yellow variety. And if you also want a evergreen that blooms, there's very few. This is one of them. Okay.
Mhm.
The deer can go off those big blooms. They'll like that because it is softer without thorns. You can't with mostly the blooms.
And then this next one right here, this is the Cecil Bruner. This one does have thorns, but this is just another great example of a really, really hardy, good climbing rose.
This one's a pink bloomer. Kind of has a light pink tinge to it. Again, deer are less likely to eat this one because it has thorns on it. They still might go for those buds because they're desperate, but it's a little less likely. They're not going to chomp the plants down on this or anything.
Yes. And since we are kind of running out of time, I really quickly want to touch on flower power. This is, once you start having plants that are blooming out, say like that forsythia, this flower power is absolutely terrific. It builds blooms. It's really, really high in phosphorus. If you look at the NPK analysis on this, it's a 12-48-8.
Just got
Really, really good for anything that flowers. A lot of times folks will even use this on tomatoes because the more buds you have on your tomatoes, the more tomatoes you get. So it's a great way to just help kind of build some color in your garden.
Yeah, if you've struggled with blooms, you're like, nothing doesn't bloom as much as I want it to or it has in the past, that stuff is fabulous in pushing it to bloom. So anything blooming now, your summer stuff that maybe stresses in the heat, that just pushes it to bloom great for you. I've had really great success with this. Just follow the instructions because it does have that high middle number. You can't burn with it. Just follow your instructions, you'll be fine.
Yes.
Okay, water soluble, pour it around your plant.
It is super easy to use. Ask any of us, we can tell you how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last plant. I'm so sorry. I'm just so excited. So this guy is a flowering cherry. So it's one of the first things to bloom out in the season. If you want like a piece that stands out in your yard or a centerpiece, this is kind of it for you. Not a lot of people.
Specimen.
Yes, thank you. Wording. It's just great as a showcase. We have pink bloomers or white bloomers typically. This is a white. And it will bloom here for like another month or so, maybe even 2 months if we keep that warm. It can go through that little bit of cold without dropping everything. It's just great. Just if you think of it full grown, I mean, just touching the ground, it's just beautiful. So just had to mention it. Flowering cherry is the variety. Okay, full sun. Nope, ornamental.
Yes.
Ornamental. Nothing doesn't cause a lot of pickup or anything like that. Nothing goes after it. Full sun. Even some partial, at least 6 hours or so. Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, question time. Let's do it. Who wants to go first? Questions. I know you guys have to have some.
Okay.
Oh.
She is asking
What
what
did
this
she
tree is, and I'm very glad you asked because
Oh,
this is one
right.
of my favorites.
We have to.
This is called a black tulip magnolia. They are incredible.
Yeah, it's just if you
Yeah,
can't see
yeah,
it,
we
you
might
gotta
as well
see
bring it out.
I mean, it's not as
So-
glorious. We just sold one that had like fully opened. It was just beautiful. But
Yes. So, and you can see it's already got a couple that are starting to pop up. Within another couple weeks, this whole tree is just going to be incredible with these real big, dense.
like- they're huge.
Yes.
It comes from this and it goes like that. They bloom first, then throw out their leaves. These can handle full sun. They may take a little bit more water in full sun, but they can do it, and even partial.
Mhm.
I don't think the deer might try it if they're desperate, but I haven't really had a problem with deer going after the blooms. But yeah, these things, and we only carry them this time of year. Once we kind of get into that summer heat, we don't tend to carry them because they're just done blooming. So
Mhm.
this is when we bring them in. Yeah, they'll get leaves next. Bloom first, leaves after that.
Yes.
It gets like what 30, 25, or 20?
15 to 20, I
15
believe.
to
Let me
20.
double check.
It's a bigger tree. It's one of the
15 to
bigger.
20 feet tall, 6 to 10 feet wide.
Oh, narrow, like it.
Mm.
Yeah, everything, all these other trees do great here. We brought stuff that is blooming, that will bloom first and leaf out later. So these will bloom here soon. We can go on them a little bit later, but I want to answer some more questions for you guys.
Mhm.
I had these nasty, awful looking fat, grubby things with little hands.
Yep.
What do I do to get rid of
Yes.
You can go ahead, but repeat the question.
Yes. Okay. So for anyone who didn't hear, she pulled a plant out that didn't make it, unfortunately, and in the soil around found grubs. Those are going to be those real fat, nasty white worms. They are
familiar with it. Got
absolutely
it.
disgusting. And what they do is they'll go down and they will eat the root system. A lot of times we'll see them in lawns or really anything. I mean,
Anywhere.
they don't discriminate against
Yeah.
the roots that they eat, but they can completely take out plants. We have two different products that we kind of recommend the most. One is called Turf Ranger. Both of these are going to be granulars. So
Oh, I say grub control and veg ornament.
yes, yeah. Well, that's the turf control or the
Grub.
Turf Ranger, and then
Grub
grub
control specific
free
for
zone.
grubs. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Sorry. Grub Free Zone is the initial product I was going to talk about. So that's a granular. You just spread it down, water it in. The other one is vegetable and ornamental control.
Mhm.
That's a granular. That one is actually safe to use in the majority of veggies, stuff that you're going to be consuming. It won't get into the fruit. A lot of those you can check on the bag, but no, with tomatoes, you can use that right up to the day of harvest without worrying about consuming the product in the fruit.
Yeah.
So
Veg and ornamental is your more organic version, and then grub free zone. Did you have a question?
do you hear any columbines that don't go to seed yet? I find those things so weedy, I can't even grow them in my yard.
No. She asked about columbine going to seed because she finds it weedy. There is lots of other flowers. I don't think they're as invasive as some other things. It just depends on your area. But they do like they're kind of a wildflower, so they do kind of like to see places. But they're not as like the California poppy or the primrose or things like that. Okay, at least I find it. Okay.
yes.
Just repeat the
So she asked if the forsythia and the bloomering lilacs can take full sun. Yes, they can. In fact, they do real well. Anything, or with these guys specifically, about 6 hours of full sun, that'll get the biggest, the brightest blooms.
Yep. Anything else? Go you and then you, because I know you were raising them before.
These guys are relatively compact in the grand scheme of trees, about 15 feet tall, 15 feet wide.
Or just small for a tree.
Yes.
Here. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can grow them in a large container. Sorry. Yeah.
How do you wrap trees? Just the hunk, or you try to trace over?
Go ahead.
Ours
So-
are super tiny. We just plant them.
Okay.
Okay.
Easy.
So yeah, it's easy if they're small. These sheets are 12 feet by 10 feet. So we found that's pretty much enough to cover, like this guy, it would fully cover that. You wouldn't have to worry. I would just, it's easier with 2 people if you can, but just kind of parachute it out and get it around. And then you can tie it down around the base just to keep wind from taking it away or
Yeah. You don't need to
anything
do the
else.
trunk. You don't need to cover that. It's just the blooms because what gives you the fruit you want to cover.
Mhm.
Yeah. Someone else?
What do you do about squash bugs? Other than picking the darn things off, throw them in the water.
Yeah. She asked about squash bugs. What do? You want to go?
Is that a sayonara?
We have a caterpillar
Oh,
with
yes.
BT.
Okay. So as far as the squash bugs, there's a specific product that we have down inside the store. It's called a Caterpillar Killer with BT.
I'm not going to pronounce BT. I don't know.
Yeah,
Bacteria
it's
thuricide or something.
biothericide,
Yeah.
something.
It's close.
Yeah, something like that. But that's the correct product to use for squash bugs. It'll also take care of caterpillars, tomato hornworms,
Yep.
all the
The
fat,
buggy
nasty
things.
worms.
Yeah. That's the best thing we have. Yes. Go ahead.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So she asked about growing tomatoes in a pot or containers. Highly recommend our potting soil is a really good medium to put plants in. It also has a real basic 555 fertilizer built in with the potting soil, which can kind of help sort of wake those tomatoes or any fruits or veggies up. Aside from that, there's really not all that much more you have to do. You could, of course, use flower power, and we do recommend fertilizer, of course.
Yeah, the only thing. Yeah,
Yes.
so just be careful in pots with our fertilizers. You don't want to go overboard, but you can definitely use it. And then the only thing you would do differently is if you have that calcium deficiency, so that wrinkling or stuff, we have a calcium spray to use on things in pots because you don't want to use a granular. But that's more.
So bone meal, I brought this out and we kind of ran out of time to talk about it. This is really good for bulbs, tulips, stuff like that. You can sprinkle it on. It's the NPK value is a 0, 10, 0. That middle number, 10, is phosphorus. So this is basically just...
It pushes your
Oh, yes,
blooms and your
yes.
roots. You just can't use it in pots because you can just overuse it too much and you'll burn things out. So I don't like it in pots. That's what we created flower power for. Is it's better for pots kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it still has a high number, but it breaks down a lot quicker. So yeah.
The early tomatoes. Small pots.
They kind of so girly tomatoes that we get in, they need to be grown a little bit bigger pot because they're indeterminate, so they don't have a growth limit. So they need some support. So you got to be able to put a cage around it or give it some root structure. So the determinate ones you could grow in a smaller pot, things that end at a certain height. Yeah, we'll go with you and then you.
Calcium.
Get along with calcium using that as an all-purpose everywhere. Plus, I got one fruit tree. I just feed a little back, and I use the rest of them on all the other plants. Calcium.
Yeah, so if you need like one bag or the other, you have one fruit tree, but you still have the one with calcium, you can still use it on everything else in your yard. It's not a problem. It will do great. It's not gonna hurt anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last question, then we'll end it. I see people leaving, and then we'll be here after class, okay?
So she asked with containers for veggies, tomatoes specifically, if you want to just use the same potting soil that you had last year, we do recommend it's a good practice just to add in some new stuff, reintroduce a little bit more nutrients back into the soil.
Yeah, you don't need to take everything out.
Mhm.
You just need to take because they don't root through the whole thing usually. It's just the top. So you just refresh that top. Some new potting soil, a little bit new dirt, just to wake it up. Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Clap, and we'll be here.